Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Indira Ghosh from JNU. Today we are going to talk on the module application of designing compounds using molecular dynamics simulation under the paper Competition Biology. The learning objectives here is to about that we should try in main cases where we would evaluate this protein interaction by using molecular simulation, and the case study is infectious disease. I had earlier modules have discussed about how to map this molecular interaction and derive your drug designing or chemical designing by modeling interaction by mapping and modeling and structure modeling, then by chemoinformatics tools. Here a case study I will show you where we have tried to address very complex binding pattern by biomolecular simulation, because this case study was on a flexible protein and protein interaction. Basically, this was a study between the protein which will be having its interaction with a another protein which is a kinase. So it's like signaling interaction. We will revise a bit what is the dynamics, that is modeling the dynamics and simulation of proteins. Proteins all have flexibility and functions are related to its flexibility. Here I show you by picture, we have generated one molecule, his several like 40 ensembles, and if you notice that has the alpha helix and beta structures are quite compact in the 40 ensembles or 40 conformers, but the loops etc are quite variable in nature, and this is what one can trap through the trajectory of the when one runs the molecular dynamic simulation. So basically this flexibility is nothing but we can generate many of the conformer, and this is like a thermodynamical approach to find the many conformers and how the protein behaves while the different very small differences causing its binding or functional difference. So this particular topics is meant to address this, how we design compounds by using this kind of simulation. That is some case study where you require the flexibility to be included actually to design your preferred compound to break some interaction or inhibit some interaction. Now how we generate it, if I may just remind you, you have seen these expressions. So we actually calculate the energy of this system, which is called enthalpy, and try to progress with a structure. So and find the derivatives, try to optimize, etc., which I have discussed in earlier, what kind of forces it should have, etc. But one thing we must remember, we use the same basic principles now while I mention that I am doing MD simulation. So basically it will refer that we will generate many structures while we use the same expression like a force field. So first part of the force field on the top shows you the intra-interaction, that is bonded interaction, and lower part shows you the non-bonded interaction between the molecule. So each of these structures collects the energies, and each of the structure will be referred to one energy or one enthalpy system, each of the structures. Now, what is the case study? We have mentioned in one of our previous module how to identify a new target or novel target which is associated with persistent of bacilli or MTB. Here I take a case of that protein which is associated with a shunt pathway, and that shunt pathway in TCA cycle, and what is been identified that there is an alternative target for persistent bacilli, and this has been experimentally proven, and we did a simulation of metabolic flux analysis to find which ones and what extent we should address this issue. So we already identified, and this has been detailed described in earlier modules, that because of the km difference between the binding of isocitrate lyase and isocitrate dehydrogenase, there would be possibility of stopping the shunt pathway or allowing the shunt pathway. Now, what is controls these pathways is phosphorylation of ICD. What we came out with that under the normal glucose system, this normal full cycle of Krebs cycle works and it produces an oxazolate at the end of it. But during the lower part of the cycle, it loses 2 carbon. So, if there is a system or it has to utilize, and that happens under the persistency of the bacilli, that glucose starvation happens. And system has to, biological system of MTB has to survive under the acetate. However, if it loses 2 carbons in the lower cycle to follow, it will not be possible to make the final metabolite. So, it is necessary that it should not follow this. Hence, the shunt pathway is taken. That means only the half of the top half it has covered. Looking at these interactions, there is a kinase which phosphorylate the ICD has been identified by experiments. Slides has been shown in our previous module where we have proven, here also we have proven that MTB has a ratio of ICL1 inhibitor with ICD1 taking isocitrate as its substrate 12 times reaction. That means to go through ICL pathway reaction, it requires 12 times more isocitrate concentration. So, this kind of interaction has been identified. Now, so it is a KM driven shunt in MTB can operate. We proved that by experiment. We also found the PKNG, that kinase specificity of MTB, and it's identified as PKNG. Not only it shows that it is very specific for MTB ICDH and it cannot phosphatase or it cannot phosphorylase the E. coli MCD by this data. It also confirmed by experiment that growth is inhibited if we use a mutant which contains no PKNG. That means knockout mutant of PKNG has been incorporated in MTB genome and done growth rate found to be, the pink color shows that. So what is the status and how we model, how we go by? So what we found is this model, it has, so fractional inactivation of ICD can actually require to go to the glycosylate bypass flask in persistent bacteria, that is the shunt pathway. We also found that if we actually inhibit ICD kinase, then the persistent bacteria cannot grow, which previous experiment also have confirmed. So, target should be competitive inhibition of ICL along with inhibition of ICD kinase. So, what is this called? Entrapment or entrapment of the bacteria to follow under persistence condition to follow the full cycle of the TCA. This can be achieved only if we have a molecule which is kinase inhibitor. Here I am trying to give you the idea what complication comes in actual study. It's a project which is to really find a novel inhibitor associated with pathogenesis. Hence, to work out, we cannot have our own favorable choice of target. Rather, we have to take how we model the structure of ICD, how the ICD kinase works, etc., etc. I will unfold you how complex it can be when in reality, you apply these computation biology techniques. The modeling of this proteins interaction, which I have described earlier, we require to first do the modeling of this MTB ICD because the crystal structure is not available at the time when we are trying. So we have to identify first the MTB proper template and model the structure. Then we should identify which particular serine are phosphorylation done. This two study required a number of following simulation study. I will follow it as we go ahead. Here I am just showing you how we model the MTB IDH, and this is structure was not known in 2009. Later on the structure has come. I will talk later about it. And what we did is we took two very good homology model can be. One is to use the, which is the best primary structure sequence analysis, is from PIG 1.85 angstrom was its primary template. There is another structure which is also E. coli from E. coli IDH. Now, having a prokaryote MTB in hand, one would ask this question: why did you take the eukaryote one? So, let me explain a little bit here about the homology model. Many a time, we just bias ourselves with the numbers. That is, oh, this is a good structure, that is 1.85 angstrom. However, that should not be kept in mind. Rather, we should remember maximum amount of homology, that means identity at least, should be looked into. In the case of Suscrofa, that is the Suscrofa is the pig ICDH, 65% identity was found with MTB, whereas with E. coli, it was found only 22% ID. So, we should be careful to choose structure for modeling. I would like to show you how we did the modeling study, which is a standard process. We choose, model was done, shows blue and red color, almost very nicely modeled both the structures, and on the bottom line we did lot of others. Along with that, we did some modeling validation. With template we did the validation, we did with the model the validation. So if the template already are outside the GNR plot, then we will be having the same effect also in the model. However, we tried to make it as best possible. Detail of this can go to the paper published. So used this kind of 20 models, checked with everything, what TIP scores, Z scores, etc., and Ramachandran scores, and then we use this model for our next level of study. Here I am showing you analysis of the active site is very important to identify. So MTB ICDH first we started looking at. So obvious reason we require to address two issues. One, which serine should be phosphorylated so that we can break that interaction. And to identify that, what we did is we actually ran a lot of other softwares and got the many serines to be known. Then we analyzed the data, and then what we did is active site residue and nearest serine which is been identified, which is equivalent with E. coli, was also found out, and that was 191. However, we found out three serines are most importantly can be targeted. Detail can be found in previous paper reference. When we did the simulation at the active site and the whole simulation was identified, we found probe sphere, large cavity found, everything we found out, and what we did see is the plot of the gateway area that you can see here, how over the period, how much exposure or exposed surface area comes. Most interestingly, I want to show you here is that P191, if we put phosphorylation at P191 serine residue, we put the phosphorylation, the structure seems to be at all not accessible. It's very lowest accessible. Next, we did also do the same exercise which is shown in green, that is 230. That also doesn't seem to be accessible. The only thing which is always accessible after phosphorylation is the P372, which is comparable to the native also. From this data, we were really stunned how we find the correct one. Now, very obvious reason we can identify that the 372 serine is the one which is phosphate. But then comes the question, why should it be? If it is accessible all the time, then this particular interaction cannot be a regulated one. Here we identify not the ones what I studied, but the one which is called serine 230. We did a long simulation which is shown here, and we figure out how much is accessible. We found that 372 is always accessible, so we should not be using that. Unlikely, that will be very much unlikely target. But we found this 213, which is very nearby one of the critical residue called 212 lysine, and that is important. But however we identified this, there is a caveat. One is how the PKNG will actually will come inside, because it is less likely to be open. Now, that answering that question took us for another 2-3 years of studying the subject. What we did is we took different kind of ICDH structures available and classified them, and then went through the many of these representative structure. We used phylogenetic tree to find as much to be representative structure, and each of these simulation we did. Then we did a correlation for all this interaction specifically for whole atoms. Here I show a big database to show you how many structures and how we have done that. Most of the structures are crystal structures known, except MTB, which was a model done by us. It's a very heavily loaded structure. What we did is, the correlation function is written here. We did a thorough correlation interactions, and on the right hand side on the top I show you the color coded the portion or part of the proteins. There are 4 proteins because we found out to be 4 cadres of or classes of proteins possibly available. Some are NADP, some are NADH binding, etc., which is detailed in my paper cited. However, what important things to be notified here, the color coding of 5 loops. One is phosphor loop, which is important, NADP determining binding loop, NADP binding loop, then there are variant regions and that. So all the colors are coded and written. Now if you look at the left hand side, that gives us the idea of the plots. This is a correlation plot. Half plot gives us a lot of information. Now if we look at the symmetric plot on the left hand side and upper half of the left hand side of the triangle, you can identify which sites are having some kind of good correlation or poor correlation. Looking at this plot, next one slide I will show you how we unravel revealed the whole concept and come to know what happens with the PKNG binding and how that really happens. Is there a possibility of this particular protein ICDH of MTB to open up so that it can let the binding happen? Here I want to show you step by step how this identification and how really it acts. The ICD has to have this, none of these S2IDH serines showed a very negative correlation. So what we did is, there are several serine. So we focused on the serine 230. What we saw is series of class of group which is called S2 group of IDH. There are 4 groups actually, and these groups are classes of IDHs, ICDHs. Only amongst all of them we portrayed the correlation function, and we focused that particular where it is having 213 residue or associated residue and their near neighbors. What we noticed, and I will show you by the correlation plots, that it actually only MTB shows a good correlation. However, another 5 of them belongs to the same class, does not show it. That includes the human as well as the pig. This phosphorylation, particularly this kinase being an autophosphorylated kinase, actually what it does is, plays the role is, it does force this region which is possible to get displaced, and what it does is contains many of these bulky acidic groups like aspartase or glutamate, etc. Now I show you how these correlation plots can be interpreted. Please focus on the blue part of it, which is shown in the square region. Now this blue part I will put on each of these 4 or 5 class of IDH belongs to type of MTB, and they also include human and the pig. So just if you focus, you can notice that the plots are just superimposed on each other. This is the sudden appearance of correlation. And this correlation is shown if we actually put it in a little larger way, that is the correlation between these parts. We will be, if we emphasize them, you can see the residues. So serine 213 would come nearby this. So, and 600, that is the numbering comes after 400 onwards. So 2 units of ICD actually work. The functional group is 2 unit of ICD. And as earlier the structures have shown also that 2 ICD units becomes a homodimer, and that is what functionally active. They have interlinked between two domains of theirs. Here I show you the 213 link and the correlation. Now I show you the right hand side bottom is the two structures. Not two structures, but the same structure in two different views. On the left hand view actually shows not only the movement of the chains, where I have shown you red color is the active site or serine, which is inside, which gets phosphorylated. But this is the native, and you can see the two colored chains, helices, bended helices. This is one picture, and if I look at in a different direction, that is the right hand side, if I put the picture in a little different way, you would see these two units can open on open space. That is, they are not having any restriction of becoming flexible and giving a space for the red color dot, which is red color active site and 213, serine 213 to be phosphorylated. Nonetheless, please also remember there would be not only flexibility in these two, but they will cause flexibility on the hood, which is shown as a top there as a beta structure. There are structures possibility gave us even before the crystal structure came out that some of the motion might, at least in this area, would open the place, that is open something we call lead, and close it due to phosphorylation. I will show you now a few trajectory superimposed just to show you the motion. So here comes the actual trajectory designed and comes the motion of our molecule, and I would like you to concentrate on the two helices chains. Along with it, please concentrate on the central blobs. Central blobs are the 213 serine, which gets phosphorylated. This is the effect of phosphorylation. First of all, what we noticed is these two alpha helices gets expanded or opened up as the phosphorylation molecule comes in. Number one. Number two, we also notice that close beta structures also gets a space out. Very small, but spaced out, and creates a space to entry. So this phosphorylation, basically, while happening the phosphorylation, the kinase actually push itself inside the active site. After phosphorylation, it affects these two alpha helix on the sides and allows these two units. So there are two units together, that is a homodimer shown here. These two units to behave not necessarily symmetrically, but rather in asymmetric way, and this is depicted by our trajectory and actual snapshots. I'll come back to our main line of talk by closing this. Once we know how this the protein acts onto itself, and it's a homodimer protein, IDH or ICTH, we are also aware now how the kinase will interact with it. So this is the next part. We'll discuss about that. We want to break the protein-protein interaction, that is the interaction between MTB ICDH and MTB PKNG, which is the corresponding kinase. So use the flexibility available for MTB ICDH, which is a substrate for PKNG, and try to see or understand how we have the mechanism of action of PKNG to phosphorylate it proper cognate serine 213. So here we talk about the mechanism of regulation. Yes. So what is the regulation happens? Now, earlier I have shown you how ICDH behaves. Now I am talking about its cognate kinase, or ICDH is the cognate substrate of this kinase, which is PKNG. What we would like to have the model built is the cognate kinase becomes phosphorylated by capturing an ATP and then goes and binds to the how it interacts with ICDH. And to do that, first we should understand about this kinase, and all the detail is written on the left hand side, actual result of this kinase. And green is the part which takes part with the kinase domain, and what we are going to do is we are going to put, which is shown by arrow, the ATP in the binding site. Now this is the receptor with inhibitor bound, which is shown in red color is the inhibitor, or rather I would say the ATP, and the structure of the PKNG, only kinase domain I am highlighting more. So if we figure it out, we fill it up with a sphere. That's what we do. In doc, we use doc6 program for this receptor to model. We evaluated these figures that which space is available for PKNG to bound with the ICDH, and we docked exactly the same space, the ATP. Crystal structure also shows the same place, the ATP binding site. We model the PKNG and ATP by using the Haddock program. And what we show you here is that when we did these calculations, what we find is that most of this interaction online, this protein-protein docking program does not give us a very good criteria or very good position. As you show here, I show you here that this is a RMSD, large RMSD that shows some of these clusters of structures, because Haddock program takes many structures and gives you how many interaction can be favorable. However, here we noticed if we take our model structure and put the binding and ATP and then try to dock, we do not get lower values for these structures. That is very important, because we would like to see some of the clusters where the binding or scores are high, and they should be very much near to the structures of the ATP, and the serine should be nearest to each other. But we don't find that distance, which is shown in this model. In the same slide we show the model. So here is the MTIDH homology model, and blue color actually specify the model, which is PKNG's crystal structure and ATP. So if we calculate the interaction sites, they are not within, they should be, if they are interacting, they should within 5 to 10 angstrom. However, we cannot. We get the distances are almost 22 angstrom to have a preferentially binding between two proteins. So why it is so? That is our first question. And by the time we worked on this, crystal structure was revealed. Our model superimposed with crystal structure. And if you look at these two, you can very well see the blue being crystal structure, and the differences of the structural features are predominantly in the lead, which I was talking earlier. That is, there is a large lead differences. That is something like a cover, which is closing the active site, is shown here. So this is a model of dimers and the crystal structure of the dimers. So what we understood now, that the model what we built was on a structure which was closed structure, whereas the crystal structure is an open form with a NADP bound to it. Now what we did is, instead of taking the old structure, model structure, we pick up the structure of crystal structure and use the same technique which I have shown earlier with Haddock. Now we got a cluster of structure interacting which are quite a high Haddock score, and their RMSD or their interaction sites are very low, near almost zero. So we have now zoomed and we able to identify the sites so that this interaction happens. Serine 213 is our anchored, and that is what we have achieved. There are several other mechanisms done earlier. I am not discussing much of it except that showing you how successfully one can use simulation and docking together. There are several points here to note. Here I show in the same slide the picture of two of them. Now it is in near neighborhood. Earlier it was 15 angstrom away from one of the structure cluster 1, and now it can be coming to each other. The docking summary, and I depict you the focus structure, and that is very well understood how good it is interacting the protein sites. Two proteins are getting phosphorylated interaction sites. This understanding are leading us now to design and plan some inhibitors so that it can be broken, so that this phosphorylation can be stopped, and then we can actually identify compound which can lead us towards stopping the basic persistent tuberculosis. I have summarized you a good case study how successfully we can even manipulate and do all computational biology tools, use as many possible, and then design compounds to perceive or very complex system like protein phosphorylation can be interrupted. However, in the slide now what I'm trying to tell you that it may not be so simple as I have told you, the modeling, homology, structures, docking, etc. Here are some big challenges. We have to be very careful to address these issues. One of the challenge is, I showed you here, there are serine proteases which has same function. This is a protease function. It has active site serine, but the structures are highly different. Even their scope study will tell you the structures are different. Here is subtilisine and here is trypsin. So same function, two different structures. Other way around also is possible, and that is similar folds. So we have almost similar folds but three different functions. One function is growth factor on the left hand side, middle is phospholipase which actually breaks the lipases, and on the right hand side is a very interesting target molecule for cancer is tyrosine kinase. But if you look at the structure by structural features, they are almost similar structural features. This puts high challenges in the field of homology modeling. So in future, once if you look at homology modeling and you would like to look for docking scoring, please remember that not necessarily it will be so simplified. Next challenge is what I have addressed in my earlier module is chemistry-based designing actually becomes a high throughput screening, and chemistry-based designing becomes also a big problematic, and that is called that searching needle in the haystack. So here I am summarizing most of the challenging problem for future scientists to take care. We have developed many computational biology tools, and most often we try to use them to elevate or make some problem solving for disease associated and other cases. However, we must keep reminding ourselves that limitation and range of limitations for these topics. Summarizing all these modules, one would keep in mind while doing this drug designing or target identification or analyzing chemicals and things like that. Actually, the tools available in physics, chemistry, mathematics, computer science, and statistics are plenty. There is really nothing one needs to hunt for. So, practically, there is nothing really new under the sun. The methods need to be, but the most difficult or complexity increases because the speed of the event and the size where it matters. Also sometimes the molecules, if they were huge in numbers and behave with a different complex pattern, we are unable to understand their inner meaning of it. Hence, speed and size certainly matters. Our computational tools cannot crack a lot of questions, and answer cannot be done because we are limited with our facilities. Next question is, it is best to crack these complex problems in an integrated manner to share the wealth, which is in the informatics science is very much preaching for. And I am sure that biologists would share their wealth with all the other scientists so that we evolve a better idea, better methods to find problems which are faced by most of the humanity. There is another point we must understand, and that is what we call say what you mean and mean what you say. That is, every depiction or every prediction, every ideas we put in, we should be able to support it, validate it. We should not be having a double meaning and left that. I think it is more important for informaticians, bio, chemo, and even the people who are working on genomics, etc. We must be following a proper standardized validation principle. Integration, all of them, data and assimilation is highly important. But more than that, most important thing in drug designing and pharmaceutical world is as early as we can find that these targets are not going to work or these chemicals are not going to be helpful, as early as we do that, it saves huge amount of investment as well as human research work done on that failure. Hence, many cases, identification of target has been the first issue to be done. So these are our future challenges, and one should work for to find out a much list of big compound list. Instead of that, we should actually look for a target list, uphold, and then we should look for which targets are feasible, druggable, etc. in following up. I want to conclude my whole of this module saying, please do note, chance prefers the prepared mind. Hence, please do remember, learning thoroughly, horizontally as well as vertically, prepares our mind to identify some of the events which would have been missed out and we would have really missed the opportunity. Thank you very much.